Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kia Simone, and let's get into this last episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. We ain't gonna be here real long. The moral of this story is Tisha needs to get her a new man to go with her new body, okay? Because I'm sick of Marsau for real. Let's just get into it. Before we do, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And of course, I want to shout out my super thanksters. Shout out to Craig G, Tech Mama, FKMC Cloud, and Yvette Greer. Thank y'all so very much. Let's go ahead and get into it. So the episode opens up with Tisha and Marsau having a date night at Black. Because one thing they gonna do is film at their business. Tisha comes running in thinking she's late. Girl, if this were divorce court, you would be, but no, she's right on time for date night. So she goes in and they start that fake, hey babe, and kissing each other, and he has a drink waiting on her. And Marsau is in the confessional saying how they now prioritize date night. They plan their life around date night. They make sure date night happens at all costs. Now, they don't have to like each other. They ain't got to respect each other. They ain't got to get along, but they going on a date. So while Tisha's getting started on her drink, she asked Marsau, where is Jalen? And he said, well, Jalen is on his way. He'll be in later when he comes in from his main job of cougar taming. She said, well, speaking of, I heard your friend was the latest cougar tamer. He said who? Martell. They said Martell is running around out here with Sheree. So what about your friend being the cougar tamer? Now, before she can finish laughing good about Martell being the cougar tamer, Marsau comes out of nowhere and said, well, you know, speaking of Martell, I invited Mel to come here today. Tisha said, what? Why? Why would you invite her here today? Like, why would you invite her in the middle of y'all's date night? And he says, well, you know, me and Maurice had a conversation with Mark, and basically he just wants to keep her in the loop about the conversation and the progress on the issue of Mark. Tisha said, but you could have invited her any other day. Why would you invite her today? And Marsau is doing this intentionally obtuse thing where he's, well, I don't know. I mean, I sent her a text and I told her she should stop by for a conversation, and she said she could stop by today. So, well, what you could have done was you could have said, today is actually not the best day for me. Is there another day aside from today that would work for you? But I guess you were so excited that she agreed to meet with you. Hell with date night. Tisha said, furthermore, you shouldn't be texting her without me knowing about it. Marsau said, well, I didn't text her. My assistant texted her. Tisha said, well, then it need to be a group text, damn it. He said, well, I'll advise my assistant. Tisha said, I just want you to know it's very disrespectful and I don't like it. Marsau says, well, you know what's weird? Your meeting with Martell wasn't disrespectful. What? Tisha said, but I told you about the meeting with Martell. No, hell with that. You are who requested that she have this meeting with Martell. What are you talking about? And this was in regard to a very specific business matter that she was required to be involved in, being that everything is in her name. And Tisha said, there's no reason for you to be texting her or any reason for y'all to be having a one-on-one conversation. I don't understand. Mel didn't request to do any business. Mel didn't request to have a conversation. There is no business matter at hand. So this is personal. Tisha said she's not our friend. You shouldn't be texting her. Marsau said, but y'all were cool and destined. Tisha said we were cordial. We're not friends. She declared me her enemy. Marsau kept interrupting her to say, we're past the whole enemy thing now. Tisha is telling Marsau that, listen, the only reason we ended up hanging out with them in Destin is because Martell invited us. It had nothing to do with Mel liking us, me and Mel getting along, none of that. Marsau said, well, I'm confused now because we were just kicking it in Destin, so I don't understand. So they're going back and forth about what cordial actually means to them. And Marsau gets frustrated and said, so you're not going to listen to anything I'm saying. I can't be right at all. Well, the goal is not to be right. The goal is to come to a place of mutual understanding. The goal is to communicate effectively, not just for you to talk and be right. The point is for both parties to feel heard and honored in the conversation. But you clearly don't understand that. Tisha said, I am listening, but you're missing my point. Marsau sat there for a second and said, so your point is being the jealous wife. Mother, Tisha head damn near spun round on her body. Tisha looked like she might have lost it. Tisha looked at him and said, don't you ever play with me like that. I ain't never been jealous of a soul. Don't you ever call me jealous. Tisha said, what I told you is that it's disrespectful. What you need to do is learn how to recognize my feelings, how I feel about a situation, and stop throwing jealousy in my face. I don't understand how you're married to a man that would disrespect you this way. When I tell you I would have dragged Marsau to the edge of his manhood, that motherfucker would have been crying to his mama when I was done with him. She needs to tell him he must be jealous of Martell and his ex-wife and ex-life, and I'm gonna let you have it in just a minute. Marsau said, well, stop acting cordial then. Marsau, you can go straight to hell. What you're not gonna do is take a few shady chuckles as a pass to go texting this woman behind your wife's back. Tisha said, well, help me understand why you're having this meeting. And he said, because we said we would have this kind of meeting, baby. Tisha looked confused, and I am too, because he's a lying. He claims that at the dinner that they had, they came to the agreement to keep certain family members at bay and keep group members informed about the activity of said family members. Tisha said, but what came up? Marsau said, everything I told you about the conversation with Mark. Tisha said, but my understanding was not that we were going to have a meeting every time a peripheral person says something. So help me understand what the motivation is for you to have a whole meeting with Mel about the conversation you had with your brother. Marsau says, are you going to listen or are you going to ask questions and not listen? Child, look, first of all, what kind of man insinuates that his wife is jealous of a woman who declared his wife her enemy, who stepped to your mother-in-law ready to scrap, and who claims to have dirt on you? And secondly, if this is such an urgent matter, why didn't you address it when y'all were in Destin? All necessary parties were present for you to have whatever conversation about whatever was said. But instead of you addressing it in Destin with everybody present, you decide that you need to have a side conversation with Mel, and you gonna insult and disrespect your wife in order to do it. Tisha said the agreement that we came to was that we were not going to speak on each other on social media, but you're going to Mel to have a conversation about a conversation that you had with your brothers. Make it make sense. Marsau says, well, Maurice and I had a conversation with Mark. There were some things said, and I think other parties should know what's coming down the pipe. Is what's coming down the pipe, because Marsau is full of it. Ain't Mel an executive producer, or at least listed as one on this show? She knows what's coming down the pipe. Marsau said we've been on vacation and other things since that whole meeting, but this is the first time I'm hearing about an issue with us being cordial. Well, this is also the first time that you're bringing up that you plan to date with Mel. Marsau goes on to say Martell even threatened my life. And he and I are cordial, so, well, yeah, that's because y'all have secrets in common. You gonna make sure not to cross him. Tisha in the confessional said the meeting with Martell is totally different from Marsau meeting with Mel, so I don't know why he's trying to compare the two, and I don't either. So Marsau says to Tisha he wants to offer her a hard truth. And he drops this bombshell of bullshit about, that night that we had that dinner and everybody agreed to move on. Tisha, the two of you didn't move on. You don't say. Tisha said exactly. And if you have enough awareness to realize that, why would you think it's okay for you to go texting her about y'all having a one-on-one? Marsau said, because I want to move on, but you don't. So you're more concerned with being in harmony with Mel and failing friendships than you are with being in harmony with your wife and this failing marriage. Tisha said, look, I don't care about moving on. I don't care about being friends. All I want to do is be cordial. Marsau said, no, you don't want to be cordial because cordial means warm and friendly. Look, the first thing y'all need to do is come to an agreement about what y'all's understanding is of cordial. Marsau said, I think it's a severe overreaction. I just don't understand. What am I missing? Respect, concern, consideration, love, feelings, the ability to communicate, a lot of shit. Tisha said, I told you very clearly what the issue is. You're choosing to not hear me. I don't want to be in the same space with them unless we have to be. And as she's saying this, Marsau keeps interrupting her to say, we have to, we have to, we have to. She's trying to tell him to let her finish her statement. She keeps saying, I'm still talking. And he said, but we have to. And it makes no sense for you to get upset with your husband over some shit we're talking about. Marsau is the ultimate gaslighter. Tisha said, I'm not getting mad. It was your reaction. He said, yeah, because what you said was stupid. No, I think you got the stupid in this conversation. Tisha asked him to just consider her feelings. She said, why can't you just think about me and say, hey, babe, I understand where you're coming from. I understand how you feel. And he starts mocking her. Hey, babe, I understand that you think it was disrespectful. I can't with Marsau. Tisha said, you know what? Just forget it. It's all good. Marsau said, no, it's not all good because it's not all good with me. Well, who gives a damn? Because if you're okay with it not being all good for her, why should anybody give a damn that it's not all good for you? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Then he tells her that her telling him that what he's doing is disrespectful is a problem. It's actually a dig at him. What? This is emotional manipulation and abuse. I'm so sorry. I don't care who it offends. I'd have dragged Marsau so damn hard, he'd be looking for a word deeper than disrespectful, because ain't no way. Tisha said, well, you should have at least phrased it differently. You should have said she's going to pop up, but don't tell me that you texted her and asked her to come for a one-on-one. So you want to be lied to? Don't actually respect me. Just package the disrespect better. You're party to your own problem. You are aiding and abetting this man in disrespecting you. You are guiding him and how to effectively disrespect you. Just lie to me. Don't tell me straight up how you going about disrespecting me. If you gonna disrespect me, put it in some pretty wrapping paper. So Tisha is trying to explain to Marsau that there's been too much said and done by Mel in regard to their marriage, and she's uncomfortable. And Marsau gets frustrated, jumps up, and yells, I'm not listening to shit you got to say, and goes stomping out. Tisha sat there and said, you so stupid. Let me tell you something. I don't do public scenes. So this would have gone real left, real fast. Once you embarrass me, that unpredictable Aquarian energy is coming out. I might disengage or I might meet you on the stage. Ain't no telling. Marsau is in the confessional saying it's frustrating to have to defend your position to someone who should know your position. And he feels like Tisha thinks that he should move according to what the public believes and the public rumors in regard to him and Mel. And he said if that's what's necessary, he can move differently if that's what's going to make her comfortable, but it's going to make him uncomfortable because that's not really what he wants to do. What? So you're more reluctant to consider your wife than you are to actually disrespect and disregard her. Who the hell wants to be married like this? So he comes back in and sits down. Tisha said, you're not seeing my point. Marsau said, I got you. If you allow me to do this, I will not make a fool out of you. Too damn late. Tisha just kept saying, okay, as Marsau carries on with this bullshit speech about just let me work. I mean, I'm not saying this in a bad way, but the truth is Tisha's way never works and Marsau's way always works. Child. So Tisha is arguing with him that her way has worked. And he's saying it's never worked. It's never worked. And he says to her, Tisha, baby, you have to let it go. If by it you mean you're absolutely right. You cannot just let this man continue to beat up on your spirit and your energy like this for the sake of having a husband. This is more like being a captive than being a couple. Tisha is still pissed about the jealous comment. Tisha said, I'm not jealous of anybody. Why would you say that? He said, I know you're not. She said, exactly. So why would you say that? He said, because I didn't like what you said. I felt like you were being a jerk. So basically, you wouldn't go along with what I wanted. You stood up to me, so I needed to break you down. What I know is every one of these Scott men need to find them a real life therapist. They have some deep-seated issues with women, and they need to explore what their issue is down to the root. I'm trying to figure out how this entire clan of men is this misogynistic and this disrespectful. How? Tisha said, I didn't like that. And he said, well, I didn't like that either. He sounded like a damn child. So Marsau starts explaining that the reason that he got her up there is because he wanted to inform her of what was said in this conversation with Mark and Maurice. Tisha said, well, was something new said? He said, yeah, something new and offensive. Well, I would like to know what it was, because when I watched the conversation, it looked like a whole bunch of what we already knew. So please tell us what the new and offensive piece was. He said he just wanted to make it clear that they had no parts of that conversation, that they had nothing to do with whatever he's saying and putting out there. But when they aired the scene would have proven that. But carry on with your smart ass. Tisha said, that's fine. I'm going to get my kids. He said, so we not doing date night? Hell no, your date is on the way. Tisha in the confessional said that in a marriage, your partner should be treated with a certain level of respect. And Marsau done ruined date night, so he can have it to his damn self. As he's walking Tisha out, he says to Tisha that she's ridiculous and frustrating, and if she weren't this thick, it would be a problem. I'd have told Marsau to kiss my thickness. So we move on and we see Martell meeting with Chris Fletcher. They're meeting at this spot that Martell is considering for his Huntsville wine launch. It's this kind of industrial, deconstructed kind of a place. Martell doesn't think it's sophisticated enough, and Chris said, well, an event planner can change all that. Martell's kind of hemming and hawing about what an event planner is going to cost. Chris told him, look, you can pay for the location, or you can pay for an event planner to make a location look like a location, but you're going to spend some money either way. Martell said he thinks he's going to look for a different location because this is a little too rustic for him. And so Chris decides, well, since this ain't the location, let's get into the invitations. Is Uncle Scar coming? Martell said he and Uncle Scar have mended fences thanks to his mama because his uncle was not talking to him. He was giving him all the middle fingers in the air. But he takes accountability for offending his uncle, and he is going to try to make it right. And he got him a prepared speech this time so he don't get his entire ass whooped. Chris asked him, well, how's the family doing? And he tells Chris about the vacation that he just came off of. He said, yeah, Mel invited me, and Chris is shocked. Chris is excited that maybe there's some hope for the Holts to get back together. Martell said, pump your brakes. No, what it is she know I don't want her, and I know she don't want me. So it makes it a lot easier for us to get together and get along for the kids. Chris said, well, damn. Martell said he's not trying to be rude by saying they don't want each other. He's just saying that their intentions and focus can be clear because they're clear on that. So Martell mentions that while they were on vacation, Marsau and Tisha stopped by. Chris said, oh, okay, well, did you get to talk to Marsau? You know, like one-on-one, off the record? Martell said, yeah, we got to talk and kick it a little bit, but when's the last time you talked to him? Chris said, I don't know, but I know I need to talk to him because bruh is out here using my name and we about to have a problem. Martell said, what you mean? Chris said he using me for an alibi and it's a damn lie. What happened was we did go to Atlanta that day. We did go look at some properties, but we spent all of maybe 2 hours doing that. We were done by about 4:30. So whatever he did the rest of the day, whoever saw his naked back, I don't know nothing about. Martell said, oh, he's still looking for an out for that picture of his back. I said, well, go ahead and dry snitch then. Chris said, yeah, apparently Tisha hemmed him up one night at the club and the only get out of jail free card he could think of was me. And that's about to cause a problem at my house. So, no. And Martell is in the confessional talking about, you know, social media is trying to paint Marsau out to be this bad guy who's cheating. And, you know, it doesn't help when your wife is hurting. Fool. You are who painted that picture and sold it to social media. What are you talking about? How is social media painting him out to be a bad guy when social media got that the man got 20 girlfriends from you? Now back at Black, Mel finally shows up. So she and Marsau sit down and they start with small talk. Marsau is making small talk about the vacation. It was good to see her and Martell co-parenting well for the kids and thanks her for coming by. Mel said, yeah, I was kind of surprised that you wanted to talk to me. So what's up? So Marsau starts out reminding Mel of the conversation that the six of them had at dinner about the agreement that they came to about their family members and how Kimmy had suggested that they have a conversation with their brother. Well, they did have that conversation with their brother and he wanted to share that with her. So as he's going over the content and context of this conversation, Mel stops him to say, before you waste too much of your time or mine, is there any part of this conversation that has anything to do with me specifically? Marsau said, well, not really you, but he did mention aspects of his relationship with your mom. Mel said, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I want to talk about me. Do you have something that I might want to respond to about me? because I'm typically more of a responder than an initiator. So was there anything that was said about me specifically that me specifically needs to respond to? Marsau said, well, the first response would be, wow, thank you, Marsau, for following through on what you said you would do. And Mel is looking at him like the clown he is, because fool, what? Then this was said, and to that I would say, you're welcome, because we're definitely responding to and following through with the commitment. I'd have sat right there and let him finish this conversation that he's having with himself by himself, because you got to be out your natural mind if you think I'm going to come kiss your ass because you decided to inform me about a conversation you had with your family fool. Mel said, for me, I'd rather not even discuss your brother. I don't know that man. She said, I might have met him twice in my entire life. I don't know him. I don't know nothing about him, and I don't need to know nothing about him. But thank you so much for having this conversation. In other words, your brother was a sneaky link, okay? He didn't get to meet the family. We didn't kick it with him like that. We don't know him, all right? As far as I know, he never really existed. So you keep your conversations with your brother to your damn self, because my mama kept her conversations with him to herself. Keep me out that shit. So Marsau is in the confessional, good and embarrassed, talking about he feels like this meeting with Mel was a step forward, at least for him, because now if Mark gets on the internet and he's talking crazy, his hands are clean because he warned her. And I'm trying to figure out, is my mind the slow cooker? Am I the slow one? Because you warned her about what are you talking about? Marsau does a lot of illusionary talking. He talks like what he's saying is meaningful and has substance and it's deep, when in truth it's shallow and empty and means nothing. What do you mean you warned her? You warned her what? That he's gonna keep doing what he's been doing? Like, just say you embarrassed. He said to Mel, I just wanted to give you a heads up, like we agreed to in that meeting, because if he gets on social media and cuts up, I didn't want you saying, well, you didn't give me a heads up, you didn't tell me anything. So you're more concerned with giving her a heads up about your brother that has nothing to do with her than you are with giving your wife a heads up about the date you made with her to talk about your brother that ain't got nothing to do with her. Please go to hell. Mel said if she had even known what this meeting was about, she wouldn't have shown up in the first place. She said in the confessional, I wish he would have respected me enough to give me a heads up about what he wanted to talk about, so I could have politely declined his invitation over the phone. I done put on a whole face of makeup and a wig and every damn thing else to come down here and talk about your crazy ass brother? And now you look just as dumb. You done cursed your wife out and acted a complete fool over a meeting she didn't even want to have. I really hope you feel as dumb as you look. So then we move on and we go to dinner at Kimmy and Maurice's house. They're having the original 6 over for dinner. Marsau, though, is actually going to be doing the cooking. Kimmy says she appreciates the help. Tisha is all excited about Marsau's going to be cooking. Marsau said he just wanted to offer some help and take something off their plate because he knows Kimmy loves food and Maurice can't cook. So he just wanted to help. Well, y'all do know the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Please keep an eye on him because he fed y'all damn near raw bacon at that retreat. So Kimmy asked Marsau and Tisha what they've been up to, and they said they've been traveling. They went from Cabo to Atlanta to Dallas to Pensacola, which is how they ended up running into Mel and Martell and Destin. Kimmy was shocked to hear that the whole Holt family tree was on vacation together at Mel's invitation. Child, Kimmy is sipping all the tea and Tisha is having a good time spilling it. Girl, it was cool. Mel's energy was good. Martell was just glowing. I said, look at him getting his hopes up. Girl, she was just tickled. Kimmy said, well, maybe that dinner we had was a move in the right direction. Tisha asked Kimmy, well, how have you been doing? And Kimmy said that she's at a place where it's been more about her mental health than her physical health. She's just been trying to stay positive and keep her energy up. And so now that she's gotten to a place where she can finally talk about what's going on without crying, she just wants to catch up on all the tea she missed. Marsau decides that he'll start with the tea spilling. He gonna spill his own damn tea since this is a safe place for him. He said, just like you You have good days and bad days, and some days husbands say the wrong thing, and next thing you know, boom. Kimmy said, what did you say to Tisha? Marsau starts trying to explain about, I made a mistake, and when ladies say they're in a good place, Tisha said, hold on. Before he even lay down his bullshit and sell y'all this lie, let me just ask you this. If a woman had declared Kimmy her enemy, would you be out here scheduling a meeting with that woman without first clearing it with Kimmy? Kimmy said, well, I'm going to answer that for you. We had established that before we even got married. I told him he's not going to be out here going to lunch with no damn body, and I'm going to find out from somebody else. I don't care if it's a friend, enemy, frenemy, or anybody in between. So, no. But basically what you're saying is he had lunch with Mel. So you had lunch with Mel? What happened? Marsau said, yeah, but the good thing is we're done with that. We don't have to ever worry about that anymore. Yeah, now that you done played yourself. And Tisha asked Marsau in the confessional, now that we are all here together, you knew the whole group was going to be getting together today. So why didn't you save that conversation for today when the whole group would be together? Why did you insist on having a one-on-one with Mel? Marsau says, I don't know. That's a good point. I didn't think about it. I'm sorry. If you were doing the cooking, I'm not even going to do that. You're right. Tisha said, yeah, I'm right. And that's all that matters. Now, right as they're having this conversation, Martell shows up and he looks around and everybody all sexy in their sexy dresses and backs out. And he said, well, I must be underdressed in my Garanimal gear. Because one thing Martell will do is wear his clothes tight as hell. Listen. We understand that you work on your body. We understand you have a beautiful body. But please buy a size up. When he had on that white t-shirt in that meeting with Chris Fletcher, I just wanted to give it back to the toddler he stole it from. Why? So Martell comes in, he goes in the kitchen and he sees Marsau is cooking and he's disappointed. Tisha, ever ready to defend her mediocre man, says, what you saying? You upset you're not going to eat if Marsau is the one who's cooking? Martell said, no, I'm definitely going to eat. But, the food just ain't going to have that twinge of barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen that he like. They sit down to eat. Marsau is serving them spaghetti. Good job, Marsau. Good job. Martell asked what he missed, and he ain't asked fast enough. Kimmy said, oh, shit, they done spill all the tea. First of all, I heard you was just on vacation. Martell said, yeah, we went on vacation. It was cool. But, child, that ain't what we want to talk about. Tisha said, what you been up to, Martell? I see you got YouTube jumping. Kimmy said, yeah, I heard you got a boo. You been out with Sheree? Martell said, yeah. We kick it. I don't want to put titles on things and that like that, Kimmy said, well, how'd y'all meet? Martell said, Kimmy, stop. Tisha said, what? That's a good question. How the hell did y'all meet? Martell said, we met through a mutual friend. Maurice and Martell, how you gonna try to be secret squirrel with your shit when it's all over the internet? Now, right as they are sipping all Martell's tea, Mel shows up. Well, Mel shows up in a white dress with a lace overlay. And Martell said he found her choice of dress very interesting because that day would have been their 14th anniversary. And he thinks that the fact that they're all getting together for dinner is really cool. Cha. So Mel sits down and Kimmy starts trying to make conversation and is asking her how have the kids been. Are they enjoying their summer? And Mel said, yeah, they're enjoying their summer. And Martell butts in to say, Kimmy, you can ask me that. They at the house. We do 7 days on, 7 days off, and it's my 7 days on, so you can ask me about the kids. It is not all about you all the time. If you sit back and read the room, Kimmy is trying to make conversation with a guest in her home, and the common ground that she can find to make comfortable conversation is to talk to her about her children. This was no slight to you. This was her making conversation with Mel. I know we got to break that down for you because sometimes you be somewhere down here and everything just goes over your head. Martell said he was just joking, but for real, you ain't got to ask her. You can ask me. Martell, please go to hell. Kimmy said, I was just asking her about the kids. Mel said, don't start that. Don't start that. Let's not have that kind of night. So Martell changes the subject and extends the invitation to his wine launch party to everyone at the table. They said, oh, so the ladies are welcome this time. They said, well, the ladies was welcome last time. Y'all just wasn't welcome. Martell said, yeah, everybody's welcome. Everybody and their plus one. I don't care who your plus one is. Bring anybody you want to bring. Oh, yeah, because you can't wait to flaunt this new plus one you got, huh? He said even Mel and her plus one, y'all are welcome. That's all they needed. The tea is just getting hotter and hotter, child. Tisha said, Mel, you coming? Mel said, I have to check my schedule. Marsau said, well, are you going to bring a guest? She said, didn't I just say I have to check my schedule? He said, well, if you do come, I have to check my schedule. And then in the confessional, she said things were all good with them and Destin, but then after Destin, Martell decided to share her medical information with his baby mama. Basically, she shared with the baby mama that Mel had COVID, and Mel said all he had to tell her was the kids were around somebody who had it. He didn't have to put my name in that. I get it. I don't want you talking to that about me at all. I get it. But then I don't, because is he going to be around her and their child and is maybe explaining that he's been exposed to this? I don't know exactly what the reason is for him sharing that. Now, I do know that the aftermath of him sharing whatever he shared with her was her getting on the internet and doing something about a discount code about you real sick man child. So I do get why she might be irritated with him and his baby mama. Like, I did tell you, baby mama, don't play with me on this internet. But I guess I'm trying to understand the whole being upset about sharing that she had COVID. So Kimmy thanks everybody for coming to the dinner, and Mel is saying that she hadn't seen Kimmy since the dinner at Stormy's house. And Kimmy said, yeah, I hadn't seen much of anybody since the dinner at Stormy's house, and she goes into sharing with them her recent breast cancer diagnosis. Of course, the Holts are shocked. And Kimmy says to Mel, the last time that you saw me at Stormy's house and I was teary, it was because I was trying to wrap my mind around my whole situation. So as much as I appreciate that you have reached out several times trying to check on me, I even more appreciate you allowing me to have my space and giving me a moment to just get myself together. Mel, of course, reaches over and is rubbing her back, trying to comfort her. Martell gets up and comes over and hugs her and says it's a triggering moment for him because it reminds him of the toughest time of his life, which was the loss of his grandmother, who he lost to cancer. And Kimmy is just a really sweet and really genuine person, and he hates to see her going through this. Mel in the confessional said that wasn't the news she was expecting, and she's going to do her best to be there for Kimmy as much as she can. They tell her how she's such a loving and genuine person, and they're grateful for the opportunity just to return some of the love to her that she's given to them. And the episode comes to an end with them reminiscing about how them sitting around this table for dinner is how it all started about 4 years ago when they had that conversation about respectful cheating. And I guess the mention of that conversation was a trigger for everybody. They all got up and ran like they should have 4 years ago. Now it looks like next week, Stormy is going to be meeting with Mel, and Mel is going to be spilling all the tea about her ex-husband spilling all her tea to his baby mama. Child, it's a mess. Marsau is keeping up with all the drama surrounding Martell and his new girlfriend. He's apparently going to be watching some interview of Mel reacting to the news of Martell and his new girlfriend, and he's going to be talking about how, yeah, she was all good when it looked like he wasn't doing too good, but now that he's leveling up, I think it's a gut punch. Ciao. Martell is going to be having his wine launch and giving a struggle speech, and Mel and Martell are back to fighting. But that's it, that's all, and I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here listening to me and let me get this off my chest. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, I love you and I mean it. Bye.